At 13, I decided to be a sister, and I was with my school sister, Sister Agnes Mary Brito from Bandra. And I was playing with a keychain, and the keychain, when you hit it, said, "I love you." So I said to Agnes Mary, "How did you become a nun?" She said, "Angela, look at what you're playing, and you are going to be a nun?" So I said, "Well, if I don't become a nun, it's your fault because you are not telling me." So the next day on the corridor, she met me and she said, "Angela, I chose someone to guide me." So I said, "What do you mean by someone?" She said, "A priest." So the next day, I think that evening, I went to St. Andrews and I asked the priest, I said, "Father, I want to be a nun, will you guide me?" I was 13. And every time I went to confession and said, I disobeyed my mother and mummy and daddy, he would say, "And you want to take the vow of obedience?" At 13. Anyway, from 13 to 16, that's what I did. Father George Fernandez, he was in St. Andrews. During his time, there were many vocations. He was one who really helped. I cried in the postulancy for 6 months and I would say, "I just want to see my daddy and mummy. I just want to see them." And they were just across, 2 minutes away from the convent. Oh, I had a very tough time leaving home. But I just felt, I knew that this is it, I want this. After that, my homesickness all went away. After 6 months of postulancy, we get the habit. We walk up the aisle with a bridal dress and heels and all, and we take a black habit. I had short hair, so they didn't have to cut much. But the sisters who had long hair, they just held the bun and cut off the whole thing. And then you wear the habit on and you come back. From that day, it's 50 years now. We were already in the post-Vatican era. What we did see was a change of the habit. They had no peripheral vision with the old habit. But now we, of course, with the new habit, which I only wore the new habit. What was more important was really 3 things which even at that time was very clear to us after Vatican II. Go back to the source, to your charism, go back to Jesus Christ, and respond to the signs of the times. I think those were the most important messages of Vatican II from Perfecte Caritatis, which still holds good. We never had what you call vocation promotion. We just knew the congregation and we entered. Today, young girls are not looking forward to joining for several reasons. One of them being, first of all, there are very few in each family. Secondly, I don't think families are longing for someone to have a vocation in a family. The soil in families was different. Vocation was part of like a blessing in a family, not now. Once had to take the part of Jesus. I must tell you that. Because there was a fair Anglo-Indian girl, Betty Barber. She had to take the part. And I kept looking at her, and I had another part in the play, and I said, how sad, I cannot take the part of Jesus because I'm not fair. But I could definitely say the part better. And listening, I kind of, after some time, I think it was after a week or 2, Sister Marita said to me, "Angela, Betty is too soft." And I kept thinking, she's so soft, I would do it better, but I'm not fair. And she said, "Will you take the part?" So I took the part, and by then I knew the part because I kept listening to her. And then Mummy, on the day I had to take the role of Jesus in the evening, I must have been 4th standard, I must have been 8 or 9. She said, "Anja, if you have to take the part of Jesus, you have to understand who Jesus is. It's not just the words. You have to really be like Jesus." I think that was my first recollection day. And these are the things that helped me, Parents who kind of guided you when the chance came. And I believe that a vocation is not a vocation only to being a nun. Today it's much clearer. Married life is a vocation. Singlehood is a vocation. And every line is a vocation. It's how you live it, which I think is important. And what you do with that call. When I joined, I asked for the missions. So I went to Bharuch and I saw a lot of poor. And I did see the need for medical work. I did medicine because of the people. My heart was always in teaching. I think everything I know of medicine came from the poor. I am all for looking at this and begging the Spirit to help us really see. And as I see it, I see us looking at institutions remaining, but a lot of lay collaboration. For that, if I have to be very honest, nuns will have to be very humble, very open, because we have laypersons as efficient, as intelligent, as much with vision as we are, and they can run our schools, our hospitals and all. Then what would be the role of the Daughter of the Cross? She would be there for the ethos, the vision of the congregation to be lived through that lay principal or lay administrator. If this can happen, it's our dream. Article 1 of our constitutions, and that is to understand the striking love of God seen in the passion and death of Jesus, and with that love to love all, but especially the weakest and most suffering. Now, in our province, we have looked at this, and in India, the weakest and most suffering are definitely the economically weak. Maybe in other places it may be the lonely, the aged, whatever. But when you have nearly 60% below poverty, these are the weakest section. And our congregation should be right there. We are there. Out of the 29 houses we have, more than 50, easy more than 50% are in the villages. However, to be reasonable, the days have gone when we could, have foreign contributions. So, for the sake of having to look after ourselves and villages, where nobody earns almost. So for that you need our institutions. And here is where the crisis is. See, it's like you're making a very clear decision to help the weakest, okay? You also need to compete with what's happening to get students of Bombay, of the cities in our schools. Therefore, the need for ICSE or whatever, Cambridge and the works. Now, for that to happen, will the percentage of the number of poor become less? We have looked at it and we said, no, we can do that. But that's taking a long time to really become a reality. The hospital is even in a worse condition because the corporate sector, hospitals in the corporate sector are doing brilliantly. They pay their doctors much better and take all our doctors who have been trained well, all our nurses who have been trained well. It's quite a crisis, and I think we'll need really a little bit of expertise to handle it. The person must be happy to become a nun, and her love should be way out. Someone who could love like Jesus and be a happy and loving presence wherever she is. Besides that, I don't say that we must have only the very efficient or the very intelligent. You can have all sorts. But they need to understand the vision and the picture and fit into it. They say that 65% of what you are, whether it's in a vocation or in married life or anything, is from your family. 20% comes from the formator or the person you look up to, 10% from your syllabus. And I believe that, the home values were everything for me. My parents were teachers. They gave us everything that money could not buy. We had all the basic necessities, but not more than that, because teachers, 2 teachers' salaries, it was just enough. And I think that just enough was a good formation too. We were never extravagant. Also the choices parents make. For example, my mother, she'd tell me straight away when I was in the 5th standard, I was good in Hindi. She'd say straight away, Anja, you're good in Hindi, you have to help others who are weak. So she had very clear choices. The charism didn't come suddenly. It came from home. I have had a lot of freedom to make decisions, to search, to ask. Like, I'd say, okay, I'd like to do this course, it could help me in this. And I was never refused. Maybe I asked for the right things, maybe, and usually it was related to my work. But I was never refused, so I found that growth as a person is even more than what my classmates in the world have. If you search, whether you're given opportunities or not, you can learn, you can keep on learning. And our congregation gives that freedom. As provincial, you have to keep your eyes and ears open to what's happening and to see what the province needed for the time. I know the first thing I did was to have community building. We got an expert, Father Selvaratnam, to give every sister the course, because that's important. And I also learned at that time to understand the importance of the sacred history of each person. The sacred history of each person is their life before they entered, sometimes from conception to date. What does this child go through? And it doesn't, you don't have to ask for it, it surfaces in behavior. So you can see how a person's behavior shows us what they lacked in childhood and how to get healing in that area. You see, when you are open to listening to a person's history or even to understanding it without them saying it, healing takes place. And none of us knows another person deeply unless we share it. Once we share with each other where we are, where we have been, how the world has treated us, there's a deeper understanding. Because God's love is not something very abstract. It's through every one of us. It's through the understanding of each one's life. The dream is more that each one can reach where they are really happy to be sisters, where they are loving, and where we can find the needs of the world being fulfilled, not necessarily even directly to us, but God using us as instruments. Like in hospitals, in schools, in our social apostolate, in pastoral work with lay people, and that would mean I can see that 10 years of hard work and deep understanding and prayer to understand how to, together with the lay people, to just say, yeah, you have your vocation for marriage, you have your vocation to singlehood, I have my vocation. We all want to respond to God's love and give God's love. Let's not make, you have to go home and look after your children, I have to go home and do something else, that's fine. But we are all going to walk together. We are all in it together. Otherwise, we are wasting our time. Humility is the virtue proper to our congregation. And if we can really live that through lay collaboration, that is my dream.